Today on the platform of We the Women of India, a very learned lawyer. He is a senior advocate, Mr. Anusha Gupta. He is practicing law since the year 1976. You can imagine the body of work he must have done by now, the experience. He is a thorough reader. So it's always difficult to match with his knowledge on various subjects and his acclaim of like the name of the authors, the books they have written, and the experience is so vast. He had been appearing in various courts, including Supreme Court, almost all the high courts of India. He had been additional advocate general for the state of Rajasthan, Supreme Court for 14 years. I believe it may be the maximum for any lawyer representing the state of Rajasthan as double AG in Supreme Court. He is a designated senior advocate, a very well-deserved one, a dear friend, a very, very pleasant person. And he has always, an exceptional sight to look into any subject. We meet people who are, sometimes very critical on issues, who have some a very dark side of to look at everything. But he has an amazing approach of looking at everything with a positive side. And he looks, he has a vision which is, some 50 years ahead than time. So once I was talking to him and he told me, some technical approaches to be adopted by Supreme Court, which we have now, but he voiced it to way back, maybe 20 years back. And I was just wondering that was the Chief Justice of India being able to understand that, what he's actually saying. So an amazing person, somebody who has immense knowledge and a soft heart on social issues, women issues. We call it women issue just for the people to understand what we are talking. But for us, all of us in the We the Women of India, these issues which are addressing women, but really are social issues. So I would be welcoming, sir, and I would not be taking much of his time on the platform. You please hear him out very, seriously, and then freely pose questions. So to have, a very, very informed interaction between all of us and to the viewers who are otherwise watching. So welcome to you, sir. Your platform. Have it all.
Thank you, Shobhaji. Good evening, everybody who is here with us and who will be hearing it subsequently. Let me, it's a great introduction which Shobhaji has given. Nothing unusual about it. And let me tell you, I'm just a simple advocate who did his law from Jodhpur. And when we came to Supreme Court, it was an amazing place. And we moved on and on. So I must thank Shobhaji for crafting this wonderful platform, We the Women of India. We the Women of India is a platform that has the potentiality to make women aware of the issues that are normally pushed under the carpet. These issues have deep discomfort and pain. And finally, they erupt as volcano and burn the entire carpet, the furniture around, and the house in which it was so exquisitely placed by the cosmos. We, the women, constitute half the world in terms of living beings. The entire world, as we see, hear, smell, and feel, is manifestation of Prakriti, the feminine energy, as contradistinguished from Purush, which is a ghost without it. So you have a Purush who is the male energy and you have a Prakriti with the female energy. So if you see it actually, the entire world is actually feminine energy. And that is the classic story about Meera when he went to meet Tulsi and he was told that he doesn't meet women. She said, okay, I thought there was only one man in the world and rest are all females. So the world, as you see, is basically constituted of the female energy. And this constant change and movement in Prakriti brings into existence multifold human beings with different gender, color, age, attitude, and aptitude, who are born to a certain set of parents at a certain location, develop multitude and multifold relationships, get married to a certain spouse, and have children, and events continue to take place every moment based on a karmic theory. I'm not going into the details of the karmic theory, but what I call this as a locational. You see, this is if you understand the distinction between the theory of relativity and the string theory. Now, when the string theory has come up, and when people start understanding that everybody is like a bead on a string, so we continue to move on our own place, and that moment at our place looks like a moment of the entire string. So that is how the whole world moves. So I speak today, and I speak today with on the basis of my background and perception that evolved, and I developed close relationship and interacted with almost 51 women in my life. Women being my family, extended family, friends and colleagues. I was constantly observed and analyzed their needs, requirements, wishes, longings, approach, desires, passions, sufferings, pains, traumas, ordeals, changing moods and tempers. So, and this has been different for every one of them. Let me tell you, nobody has been same. Apart from my mother, sister, wife, and mother-in-law, and 2 daughter-in-laws with whom I have a very close relationship, there have been paternal and maternal grandmothers, tais, chachis, buas, mausis, mami, cousin sisters, bhabis, sister-in-laws, friends and colleagues at the bar. Some and most of them, these colleagues, we smile every day. We say, hello, how are you? Thank you. Everybody's fine. And it doesn't go much, but there's an aura. There's a exchange of vibrations. So you understand something coming up. Then there are co-travelers in trains and flights, some of whom I met only once and never met again. But exchange, that short span of 2 hours or 3 hours we exchange just everything in our life. And then there are many chat friends whom I never met, but we have constantly chat, we talk something all about everything in the world. When I speak today, I also come from my understanding arrived at by reading several female authors like Amrita Pritam, Shivani. I don't know how many of you have read Shivani, but the heroine of Shivani novels were the most beautiful woman on earth. Then Mahadevi Verma, Shanti Singhal, there's a book known as Alka, which contains 50 outstanding poems. And I don't think I've read a better poet than her. Then Shubhadra Kumari Chauhan, whose Jhansi Ki Rani was so closely done. Gayatri Devi, Kamla Bajaj, Jane Austen, Emily Bronte, Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand is one person who is affected. I think I've read, she is, my entire economic philosophy and thinking is substantially based on what Ayn Rand said. Her Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged are absolutely out of the blue. Then I also, I also analyzed large number of mythological figures like Ma Saraswati, her avatar is Ma Gayatri, whom I am a Pasak. Then Ma Durga, her avatar is Ma Sati, Ma Parvati, and I think Sati faced one of the largest conflicts which any woman can face, because that is the way she had to become Sati. Because that was the original split when the Ardhanarishwar split took place. And Sati had because his father thought she must not deal with Bhagwan Shiva at all. And she was fine. It was a love coming from an eternal relationship. And she had no choice but to ultimately commit Sati. So these are the conflicts which she went through. Then Ma Parvati, who had to do a lot of yajna to get to Shiva. And she didn't know how to do it. Then Ma Kali, then Savitri. Now Savitri is another classic example in Hindu mythology. When she saw Satyavan, and came back home. Incidentally, Narad told him that the person whom you are loving, you see, I can see you, and then if you get married to him, he will die in 1 year. Now, that was a conflict that Savitri faced. But she said, okay, doesn't matter. I will fight with Yama. And the dialogue with Yama is one of the most outstanding dialogue ever of advocacy, where she convinced Yam that the world cannot be a better place for me to exist without Satyavan. So that was how she resolved her conflict. Then Mahalakshmi is who's sleeping in the day. I have also made sincere effort to understand with deeper analysis characters in the epics like Manthra, Kekai, Sita, Urmila. Urmila is the wife of Lakshman. Ahilya, Shabri, Radha, Kunti, Draupadi, Uttara. Uttara is the wife of Abhimanyu. Takes place because of the Brahmastra. She is the mother of Parikshit. Meera, she is the classic example of a love energy for Krishna. Jhansi Ki Rani, and finally I ended with Mata Hari. I don't know how many have heard of Mata Hari. Mata Hari was a French lady. No, she was not a French lady, but she was ultimately convicted by French for espionage. And then by and what she wrote finally was that crime I committed, I escaped. The greatest of which was being an emancipated and independent woman. That's one of the major conflicts which most of the persons, and when we talk of conflicts of women, are facing, because ultimately they have to be emancipated and they are looking for becoming independent, but they feel that they are in a world which is ruled by men, and they don't get opportunities, they don't get choices, they don't get chances, they don't get anything, and they get suppressed in the process as they continue to evolve themselves. So all of them have undergone conflicts, and some of them created further conflicts. Some of them resolved them from time to time, over and over again. Most of the women I adore have risen above conflicts. And I think that is what marks the greatness. Now, when I talked of resolving conflict and somebody creating conflict, here the issue comes of a victim and a predator. And Mrs. Sharan talked about it, that it is not only the victim who's a victim are women, but when the women get into power sometimes, and when they are administrators and they're police officers, they themselves become predators. And I coined, when I was thinking of it, I coined a word I call victidators. So you'll see large number of persons are like victidators. They are victims also, and they are predators also. This virtually comes from a word like prosume, just created. It says everybody is a producer and also a consumer. So we'll have to see that if we can break this situation of becoming a predator and neutralize. What we are looking is to neutralize. We don't want to be victim and we don't want to be predator. We want to live in a world which is conflict free. So as human beings, are all created equal, and that is most important. You see, people have to understand what is the real purpose. You talk to somebody, actually, what is your real purpose of life? People don't have answers. According to my understanding, the real purpose of life is to attain perpetual happiness. We need happiness 24/7 and consciously realize our nature of eternal bliss. Now, this is a very issue. Is that of an eternal bliss or it is internal pain? Now, this is a very major conflict. But again, I am very clear on this, that the basic, and that is myself. It is an experience what I have personally, that internally, we all have a bliss in us. Maybe because of circumstances, we are not able to realize it, or we are not able to find that bliss within ourselves. But that is what we are looking for. That is why we are looking for a perpetual. is that we are looking for a perpetual thing in a shifting life, in the shifting world, where nothing is perpetual. And therefore, when we don't get happiness, we think that the whole world is not worth the way it is. And our goals are thwarted not only because of our own doings or attributes, but because of created competition. And I call it created competition because most of the competition is created. You know, the classic example is कि uski jo shirt is more safed than my shirt. Now this is a created competition. Ego, greed, and arrogance leads to internal conflicts and external conflicts. The real objective to talk is to bring about awareness of resolution of these conflicts for women. For that alone can help the world move into the fifth dimension. A glimpse of the fifth dimension you will find in the movie Interstellar. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie. If you've not seen the movie, you must see Interstellar. Here the person goes into a black hole. And when he goes to the black hole, he loses his time concept. So when he comes back after 40 years, his daughter is about 85 years of age. And he is still 40 years of age. But when he comes, he wants to help his daughter to get out of a catastrophe that has hit the world. And that is the fifth dimension, when there's an emotional bonding or emotional relationship in a metaphysical situation, in a spiritual situation. And that is what the world is now moving to. So let me give you the glimpse of what the world all existing. Today, the world is riding the fourth wave. We have fourth G. We have fourth industrial revolution. Generation Z, you know what Generation Z is? Those born between 1990 to 2010. For making this, and that is what I think we are dealing with them, for making their life conflict-free and help Generation Alpha to take over the world and make it a better place. Generation Alpha, the people are the young generation who were born after 2010. Coming to the subject, let me tell you that woman is the first group of every child born. And she is the center of each family. If she becomes conflict-free, nothing can stop the world to become conflict-free. Awareness is the beginning of understanding, and knowledge is a choiceless happening. Once we know the truth, we cannot act otherwise, unless we intend to do otherwise, which is hypocrisy. Interestingly, we are all hypocrites, and that is the truth which I can say with certainty. On the issue of creation of awareness, let me tell you a small episode written by Irina Platon, a pagan and minister of interfaith in Colorado, whom I met in a conference in Chicago in 2007 and again met in a interfaith parliament that they call it in Nagpur in 2008. Let me read it to you, the episode that she wrote, and she told me and she wrote me. On my way to the office this morning, my sweet little 3-year-old said, "Why do you have to work, Mummy?" And somehow, by the grace of all that is good, I didn't say what popped into my mind, because Mummy has to make money so we can have food and house and clothes. In a single flash, I realized that whatever I said to him in response could, in one little moment, affect how he looked at work for the rest of his life. What did I want to grow up believing? What had I been taught as a child? Now, this is where she kills the conflict. I distinctly remember my mother saying, "Your father works hard every day, so we can have nice things." And she was right. My father worked very hard. And I came to understand at an early age that if you wanted to have nice things, you would have to work and work hard. I learned that life is about work and work is about survival. And that survival comes from the doctrine of Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. I don't know. I don't agree with both these doctrines. And survival is the most important consideration. And it wasn't just my parents who taught me. It was teachers, friends, and the media who shaped my belief system. In a split second, I reflected on my own 20 plus years of employment. I could clearly see how I had played out these beliefs. Working long hours, making my career the priority, and judging my own successes by numbers on the balance sheet at the end of each month. I could see the connecting link connecting lines. And as I glanced at the innocent blue eyes in my rear view mirror, patiently waiting for an answer, I considered what I want my V1 to grow up believing. Because at 3, whatever mummy says is a fact. Mummy goes to work to make the world a better place, sweetheart. Each of us has a special gift to give to each other. Something we can do, and doing that special thing is how we take care of each other and the world we share. See work as something special, not as something that we have to do to survive. Now that is the issue of a rat race. We don't go to work to survive. I pulled up in front of the playground gate, unbuckled my angel boy, and hugged him, feeling like the best mummy in the world. How would it change our world? I considered as we walked hand in hand toward the preschool door. If we each other woke up with the intention of sharing our individual gifts with one another every day, what if we believed that we treat each other with the smiles we share with one another and things we learn together actually contributed to making the world a better place? Even better, what if we were taught to look for a job that would make the world a better place rather than learning to value the job according to the compensation level? Your annual compensation is a normal issue which everybody asks at the end of the graduation and when you join a job. And finally, there's a last para, and I think that is an absolutely amazing statement. As I pulled away from the daycare, having given the prerequisite snuggle, I found myself thinking about how blessed I am to have a job I have and to have a gift to share. I thought about what I would do today to make the world a better place, and I felt something brighten in my soul. And now, as I sit here in my office writing about my morning, I realized what I thought was about my child was really about me, and that one being the teacher were actually being a student. Today, I discovered a reason to work, a holy and whole reason to make the world a better place. In that simple learning, I reshaped my past, changed the present, and through the innocence of a child, maybe even affected my future. And all in one little moment in time. And let me share you frankly, in last 44 years, in every case, and I did many, I've always found to come out with something which can make, give justice to the people and make the world a better place. I listed some of the issues. Now let's go to the core issues, which need to be taken out from below the carpet and be discussed in open, so that there is awareness that these are issues which are awareness. These are not issues which are isolated, but affect every woman. And there's a way to feel proud and honored and delighted and not feel guilty, insecure, and develop fear of any kind whatsoever with regard to them. That there is a WWI to stand by them and provide necessary legal support. And I think Shobhaji will stand to it for the next time to come. Some of the enlisted issues are girl-child discrimination. Every girl feels that she's been discriminated, and because there's another boy child, or everybody feels that there was not a boy child. So there is a inherent issue in the system. Violence in all forms, including domestic violence and the Me Too movement, which is now picked up. There's a period shame, a virginity taboo, dealing with trauma, which becomes childhood scars, emotional or less. And I think this is a very, very difficult thing because breastfeeding in public places, equality in education at workplaces, yes, mathematics farce, and I think this is very amazing. And which we have a classic case of Shakuntala Devi, who was an exceptional mathematics as equal to Ramanuja. Then skill development is something which every woman should learn, mastering the 64 kalas. But there is a need for the right teacher to teach these kalas. Social security for aged women. One can see a large number of widows from Bengal and Banaras. For parents for marriage, plus gifts, plus jewelries, plus clothing from all sides. Everything is free there. Mint, then property, search of soulmate. And there are exceptionally beautiful books written on that. There's a beautiful 40 Steps of Love by Elif Shafak. Kramer versus Kramer, where the first line was, where he asked, where are you going? She said, well, I'm going to find myself. Then there's a Zahir by Paulo Coelho. They all deal beautifully with search yourself issues. And this is something that every woman has to understand as she grows up. Every conflict has its root in aversion, distaste or dislike, the feeling of violation of privacy and equal rights of status. We all have our likes and dislikes. It's kind of disagreement with the person, situation, or event. Now, but here this is the stage where you have to take care, because brooding on dislikes leads to differences. It is at this moment that the dislike has to be addressed and bring an end to a conflict. For if it does not end here, then it will escalate to violence to self, which must be stalled at any cost. Then the next step is irretrievable breakdown of relationship. And when talking about irretrievable breakdown, it is not merely a irretrievable between a husband and wife. We have got irretrievable breakdown between parents and daughters, between siblings, between friends, between those who were very close to your life. But there are certain relationships which finally end up in litigations. So we have to avoid litigations. There are n number of differences. There can be 21 differences on a way a cup of tea can be enjoyed. The need is to understand the difference and not lose respect for the other by clearly speaking out what you like and the way you like. Tell it to the person and not to your family and friends alone would make what makes you uncomfortable. And whenever you feel you are at the receiving end or are being used or is being used in any manner whatsoever. Now, this is one of the major issues which has to be dealt. You see, normally what we don't do is talk to the person concerned. We brood within ourselves and then we talk to somebody else about the problem that you have faced. The first step that every woman should learn is to talk to the person concerned and try to resolve the issue or abort the issue. So that is the abortion that should take place of every issue that arises at any point of time. The sensitization has to be about being aware of the feelings of violation of privacy and equal rights and status, and speak out your true feelings without any discomfort, because every other human being is an equally existing human being. Yours is age, color, caste, status, and gender. I am pursuing a project of private courts with online arbitration and mediation. Now, but this is the next step. Once you are not able to resolve the conflicts, then ultimately we have to end up in mediation first. And if mediation doesn't go, it has to be arbitration. Two verticals of online private courts is Family Dispute Resolution Center and Matrimonial Dispute Resolution Center, which directly relates to resolution of disputes in which women are directly affected. My suggestion for WWI would be to start by sensitizing and preparing women advocates in India and be equal holder in the online mediation arbitration in which they can excel and which is one way forward to help the women becoming conflict free. Now here let me give you a very interesting a fact which I don't know how many people, not many people must be knowing about it, that the major distinction or major differences between the Americans, the original Americans, and George Washington was ultimately because of the right of women. In the original Americans, and I have incidentally met the chief of the American originals, and he was Justice Jake Swamp, and he laughed out on that issue, and he said, look, the problem was that in the original Americans, we had a vertical and a horizontal democracy. And that would mean that the entire, like the Lok Sabha was elected by both males and females. The Senate, the Rajya Sabha was all selected. And I'm using the word selected. They were nominated by the females, but they were all males. And the Supreme Court was entirely by the females. And when George Washington said, okay, we will not even give voting rights to the women, the head of the original Americans said, we don't want to join the confederation. And then you will, on the flag, if you see there are 6 ribbons. Those 6 ribbons represent the American originals. And then the eagle also represent them. The palm in the hand of the eagle represent them. And the arrows also represent them. So they all represented in the American symbol, but they were not there in the American system. Thank you.
Very wise words, sir. And as always, it's a pleasure to hear you out, and how much you can really think so wide and so beyond the point. I have certain questions to you, because the platform is to interact and to pose questions and to more and more from each other to be part of a very thinking society. So my first one is, what is your heading? Like, please explain your heading of the topic, and what do you mean by that term conflict?
See, when I mean conflict means there are always 2 opinions to a thing. And these 2 opinions to a thing leads to a conflict. Like let us understand. A day and a night and an evening and a morning are not conflicts, because they don't exist at the same time in the same space. But when you find two people living at the same time in the same space, like under a same roof, or they are working at the same place, and then when one person tries to have a difference, he tries to let go to the straight to the issues, like he tries to impose upon the other person, then there's a conflict situation which arises in the mind of the other person who is being who feels the discomfort of that situation. Now that is the conflicts which we are talking about. There may be, see, the differences, as I said, when they continue to be brooded upon, the brooding may be taking a flash of a second. Like moving on a train and you feel that somebody is trying to push you. Now that is an instant reaction to it. So that is where a conflict, and that is, you have to resolve it right there and then. But there are certain conflicts which continue to be brooded. You can't tell the person, like in most of the matrimonial issues. If you see in every matrimonial issue, the story does not start within a split of a second immediately after marriage, but it starts arising from the period of the honeymoon period itself, or sometimes after a period of few years, when you realize that the whole thing that you expected is not coming in the way it has to be there, or there are relationship which develop post marriages, and then you see an emotional conflict. But the issue is that how do you resolve these issues? How do you meet these conflicts? So the only way, according to me, the greatest, you see that one of the major distinctions I always say, which a human being has got and which an animal has not got, is to continue to communicate with each other. And everything can be settled by communication. If there's a peaceful communication, it can be settled. So this is where I am talking of conflicts.
Sir, like when you must have otherwise have spoken to so many otherwise female, like I'm talking these days to so many of them, and to our clients also who come for matrimonial disputes or the harassment they suffered. Sometimes the cases where the bride burning cases are there, or the other harassment by the in-laws family, I'm just referring to for the time being. Most of them say that, we continue to face that. We did not speak up. We did not voice it because we just wanted to save the family, or we thought it would be okay later, or maybe things would improve. Now, what do you suggest? What do you say about that? Like, I understand you have already said nip in the bud. Like, just explain to them, to all those female, or maybe the part of the society, be it men or women, that the approach, let it be. Wait for a while, like maybe later. These are the teething problems, maybe the beginning years. So what do you suggest for that? Because I believe that the moment you allow all that to happen, it perpetuates. So what is your take on that? Like, should we give a period to that, to all that, to allow to settle, or right in the beginning?
Now let me tell you that there are two very different situations. One is a situation where when the clients come to you, he has already reached to a level where he is litigating. 12.8 million. So you can't resolve that conflict. You can't go back into history. I am very, very clear that these conflicts arise. The moment they arise, somebody will start talking about it. The fact that you keep within, that is exactly what I said, that you continue to brood over it. Or you just you tell your mother. When you just talk to your mother, that is not enough. You have to talk to somebody on the boy side, and the boy will have to talk to somebody in the side of the female. He will have to be talked by somebody. You see, there has to be somebody who is an elder. He has to talk to an elder male who can talk to the husband and tell him, look, this is what you are doing, and this is not correct. Now, let me tell you a very interesting. The fact that there can be small bickerings. Now the small bickerings like different, as I said, when you go to sleep, people like to have a full fan and somebody will not like to have fan at all. Somebody likes to have a full AC on and somebody doesn't like to have an AC. Now these are very, very common issues. But these common issues are ultimately, somebody has to work it out. How do you work it? Because if you don't have a good night's sleep, the whole day you are not comfortable. And then you continue to brood upon it and say, look, because the AC was not on, or it was too cold, it didn't work. Now these are things which have to be sorted out finally, and there has to be some mid path where you have to come out with. But when the issues come, let me tell you, the most of the cases that I have felt is, when I have dealt with it, is when the women develops the feeling of being used. Now, that's the worst. The moment she feels that, look, I am doing this, and everybody is taking advantage of what I'm doing, and nobody gives even respect. They're not giving me love. I can't communicate to anybody, and there's nobody whom I can talk my heart out. Now, that feeling of being used, there can be n number of situations, there are n number of reasons for that feeling. But that feeling will have to be given, it has to be vented out. You have to talk to somebody, and that is where your whole organization like We the Women comes in. If you can have a lawyer who can talk to these women, and then who can also talk to the person concerned, that look, this is the feeling that is developing. It's like the ghav become a nasur. So you have to deal with it at the very beginning of a stage and continue to deal with it. And subsequently with it. And my feeling is, I have seen cases. There are certain cases in which I was able to resolve the issues, because my first issue is that whether the relationship between husband and wife is perfect. And the problem are basically because of the parents. Now, one of the major problem in the family comes because sometimes it is the interference of female parents, and sometimes it is because of the parents of the male. But the major issue is when people start advising them, look, this happened, you do this, you do that. And those people who are mostly advisors, who have the most conflict in their own life, they are not people with understanding, who can make people understand. That's, I think, is the answer.
And I'm just posing 2 more questions to Sir, and then all of you can please ask questions. Atul, just a moment only. I'll just pose 2 more questions from what Sir has spoken. And so I have the second last question, and that is, you used a very, very, interesting term, and which is something, very important for us, for this platform, for all of us who are joining here, because we, in a way, we all join the same thought. When you say equally existing human being, now, do you mean equal and existing? You are saying equally existing, and what exactly you mean by that particular expression? Because that is something, for me, a bottom line.
No, it is very clear. A man, that gender, according to me, is something which doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
I'm very clear. And let me tell you frankly, right from my college days, I had friends who were females, and I always told myself, look, let me talk to them the way I talk to my male friends. And I never hesitated. And I think that made my relationship with them very, very powerful. Well, I have a relationship with my friends lasting over 50 years. And so you see, when everybody is equal, so moment you have got that gender issue, and I think this is, there are 4 major philosophies which rule the world. One say that everything is motivated by money, that is Marx. Then came the philosophy of Freud, that everything is sex oriented. Now that is where this gender issue comes in. He says every event, your dreams and everything is oriented because of the gender issue. The third issue is Nietzsche, where he says that everything is power oriented. So when you see people like Hitler, you see people like Napoleon, you see people like Alexander, who are coming into rushing out of their systems and moving, they are basically because they have got power behind them. They're looking for power and more power. And then finally, we have got the philosophy that I believe in is the philosophy where I say that everybody is self-actuated. You see, ultimately, you're trying to evolve yourself. So there's nothing greater thing in the world than your own evolution. Like a lawyer, you have to evolve yourself. It is not the competition that makes you great. It is your competition basically is with your own self. So in that competition with your own self, because you want to reach to a particular level of perfection, and your level of perfection is your level of perfection. It can't be correlated, it can't be equated, it can't be done to anybody. You can't pull anybody down and become superior. So when I say equal, I say absolute equality.
So last,
Equality without the fact that anybody is a male or a female. In fact, in our offices, we have never made that distinction. And in my life, I have never made it, incidentally.
that's so nice to hear that out. So the last one is, you were referring to your project of these private courts and the mediation and counseling, arbitration and mediation. I have two, queries. One, whether this is pre-litigation or post-litigation, and two, has that started, or it is you are conceiving the idea? And third is, are you including in that counseling also? Because we get so many questions, like so many queries about marriage counselors. Personally saying, I don't have an idea, unless I go and sit on the Google and search for the marriage counselors in Delhi. And I believe what you're saying, nip into the bud and deal with it, talk out. If you can't yourself, then go to someone else. Sometimes the couple go to a third person in place of putting out all answers to even know to you, because there are some privacy concerns as well. So what are all the concepts? Are you including marriage counselors? Are you including the counselors otherwise? And this is something pre or post only litigation?
Okay, let me tell you, when we talk of private courts, the word basically it comes from arbitration and mediation and conciliation. So there are three aspects which is outside the court. When you talk of statutory court, you talk of regular suits and you talk of criminal cases and FIRs and blah, 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 blah. But then came the idea of mediation. And this is not today. Mediation, in fact, the first mediation was done by Bhagwan Vishnu long back. So mediation, conciliation, and arbitration. So whenever these things are there, I've given it only an umbrella word, which is called the private court, which consists of all these three. Now, arbitration and mediation is always, it can always be pre-litigation. Because in both cases of conciliation, you see, arbitration, the problem is you have to have an arbitration clause. If you don't have an arbitration clause, you can't have an arbitration. So therefore, they came out with a step down to have a conciliation. He says in any case where you can have where you can conciliate. Now, but the issue in arbitration and conciliation, the common issue is that you get into pleadings. So there are pleadings and there are petition, there's a reply, there's a rejoinder, there is evidence. And on the basis of that, the conciliator or the arbitration looks into it. In mediation, there is nothing. In mediation, there's just a complaint. So on the basis of the complaint, the mediator hears both of them. And mediation is a very, I think it's a mediation, and what you talked about is counseling. So counseling is when you're talking to one party. Mediation is when you're talking to both the parties. But ultimately in mediation, you are, in effect, you are doing counseling. So this project, what we are trying to work out is, you see, ultimately we are trying to work out is online, because with this, the way this COVID has hit, and I'm very clear, you will see, because as you said, and I've seen it in my career, that it takes 20 years for the government to do what it should do today. So if we are able to start this online, which we already worked on, we are working on it, we already made a software for it. You see, ultimately my idea is to go make a software which can ultimately go into an artificial intelligence sort of a system. Because after you have got, say, 20,000 or 25,000 or 100,000 complaints, you will see a lot of common factor. You will see that they revolve around some issues which are common. And then maybe you are also able to find out in that certain areas, you have got certain problems. Now, this is where the artificial intelligence, the data, you see, the data analysis will come in. So ultimately, my idea is we have developed already our online software in which there's a common database. You see, today the problem with the existing court system is, and they're doing e-committees, have been there for 2004, and it's going on and on. But the major problem is that government is a litigate in 80% of the cases. So you have the attorney general, from attorney general to the penal lawyer in the trial court, you have got all government offices, government officers. You have got a law department and you have got departments. And then you have got the courts who have got a registry. And then fourth, you have a lawyer who is working for it. Now, all these four people, they develop different databases. They manage their cases in their own way in their chambers. The registry maintains their database in their own way. The advocate generals, the government offices do in the same way. Ultimately, they have to maintain the data. You can't deal with 50,000 cases or 20,000 cases. The corporate houses got their own database. Every big corporate houses have got thousands of litigations. Like NHAI has got something, arbitration worth said something like 70,000 crores. And I gave them the option. I told them, why don't you go for legal auditing? So now the idea is that there's a common database which is shared by everybody, including the litigant. So you don't have to, you see, everybody doesn't have to punch the data again and again and again and again and again. And in this, you see, I've got a suggestion for when you call out counseling. I say, you see that today what you should do, what WWI, and I'm willing to associate with you. You see, there are 500 law colleges, and out of which 23 are national law colleges. And every law college has got 500 law students. And 100 law students are passing out every year. So there are something like 250,000 law students and 50,000 law advocates who are enrolling every year. Even if 30% of them are women. And this I picked up from your talks when you had it. If 30% are women, they also have their problem. So if you can sensitize them, then they can become your counselors. So you will have virtually like 15,000 women advocates in WWI every year. So there can be a project which can be worked out, and I already have it in. We can put it on paper. So out of 15,000 women, and then if you can 4,000 women advocates every year. So think about next 20 years from today. So if you are doing 4,500 women every year, and in next 20 years, you will have 90,000 women lawyers. You see, when I talked about, this was a concept when I talked to Justice, I was not one of the Chief Justices, on giving law clerks. With the whole concept of this law clerk started when I talked to him. Because one of the Chief Justice, Bhagwati, had retired judges. I said that is a flop. You have young law graduates, put them for 2 years, allow them to sit with you, let them learn the process of law, and when they go to the market in 10 years, you will have so many lawyers who are exposed to actual litigation. And today you see, a large number of law clerks are doing so very well. Because see, end of the day, they could see, they can be with the judge, so they see how the judge is working. They see so many briefs coming up. So they're hands on into the litigation. Now, this is exactly what you can do with these women. So if you can sensitize these women lawyers first, and they in turn become counselors. So the whole thing expands. In next 20 years, you have got a whole team of. And then there can be a system by which they can be worked out as a juniors, they can be paid. So that can be worked. That I already have worked it out. So it's not a very big difficulty.
So looking forward to discuss, more on that with you on person.
I would say not discuss, but implement it. I have enough of discussions.
That can follow. Implementation can follow the discussion. But now over to you, Atul. Sir, now they are eagerly waiting. So all of you, please, no cosmetic thing. Just please be very interactive with him. And
good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. Well, I'm too small to praise you for anything, but still your opening statements, especially, they were an eye opener. So it glued me to the screen. I had to go for some meeting urgently, but still, your opening statement made me so interested that I have kept on for the entire session. And one question that was kept on popping in my mind, I still waited to ask that question to you, sir. With your permission, sir.
Certainly, certainly. I'm here. All ears.
Sir, it happens a lot of times. Like you touched upon certain issues related to women. A lot of respected women, they are also online this time in this Zoom meeting. With due respect to all the ladies present here, there are certain questions that there are certain topics like menstruation, virginity, and everything. I mean, the so-called taboo we call what we call. So at time it happens that I, as a person, I wish to talk to a group which also includes ladies, but then that risk of being stared upon or looked upon as a person with wrong intention, that stops me from touching upon the issue even when my intention is absolutely correct. like like right now also there are 4 or 5 participants who are ladies, and I'm not able to properly utter those words. So I mean, just a piece of guidance from you as to how to evolve, because if we keep on stopping like this forever, so till I attain the end of my breath, I'll never be able to do anything for the womanhood, because those taboos, they need to go.
I got it. The real issue is, again, it is being gender conscious. It's the moment you start feeling every woman is just another person. You see, they understand it. They are not stupid people. Yeah. They are very clear. Now, your hesitation is your hesitation. It is your problem, because you feel insecure about your own understanding, because maybe because you may have never talked to somebody openly, and that is what makes you hesitant about talking about it. But once you are able to talk, and this maybe let me tell you, in America there are a lot of going into cancer issues where they bring student people together at a young age, and there are several movies on it, and they make them talk about their feeling on cancer. So first time there's a hesitation. You see, for the first time you'll always feel hesitate about it. But when you start talking to them, you will feel that they are open to it, and they would like to talk about it. You see, once they come out of that exactly what they have to come out of that iron curtain that they have drawn around. They continue to draw around you, around themselves. That is what I call, Shobhaji, that violence against yourself. Now, all these, you see, these iron curtains that you continue to draw around you, like the childhood scars. Every girl is touched uncomfortably in her childhood, which she realizes. All this Me Too movement has come out of that, and I've written a blog on that. And I have a great votary of that. I said, give them back. And I know one of my juniors, and she wrote a letter after 20 years to the wife of the person who misbehaved.
Oh.
So see, this is the thing. You are coming out of the trauma. So my argument is, don't take it your next birth. Close it here.
Okay.
So when you say that you are not able to, you have to come out of it. It is your own thinking about it. Now, in fact, let me tell you, I always talk to and I ask every one of my juniors whether you have a love affair or not. If you didn't have it, you can't never make a good lawyer. That is a prerequisite. You have to have some heartbreaks around. Otherwise, in normal cases or emotional cases, you see, in most matrimonial cases, you will find the juniors start weeping with the clients. So you have to have an emotional maturity. When I talk about emotional maturity, the issue of emotional maturity is that you must know how to deal with your emotions. And for that, the only way is communication. The more you see, today the difficulty is even the child, the daughter and the mother, the son and the brother and the sister, they are not able to talk to each other. They communicate, the maximum communication is hello, hi, how are you? Have you taken your lunch? You're taking your medicine? Are you good? You didn't have a COVID? It is all on the surface. Nobody wants to get into the system, deeper into the system, and talk one to one. Even if you get 2, 3, 4, I had n number of people, to tell you frankly, I had n number of people with whom I communicated absolutely openly. So it's only matter of communicating. So once you start communicating, you start communicating.
Very well, sir. I'll try to improve upon that. The only
So can I just add a word for
Start chatting
Atul's
to somebody.
question?
You'll find somebody to chat with. You don't know.
Sir, can I just add a word for Atul's question? Atul, we appears we women are more liberated. Like we don't mind talking to man about man issues. Why do you people feel hesitated?
Now let me give you an insight here. The first article I wrote in my life,
just the risk of
the first article I wrote in my life was in second year law in Jodhpur. And some girl has written on the blackboard that why do the boys follow girls? You see, I don't know whether you know about Jodhpur. We had a lot of Jat and Rajputs, then there was a lot of fight going on. And there were in a moment, and there were few females. So everybody had a lot of, stalking and everything goes. So she wrote on the blackboard, why do boys follow girls? Why can't we sit and talk? What Shobhaji is raising today, I'm talking about 1974. Same issue. And that made me think. And that made me then I wrote an article that look, in every man there's a female and there's a female in a male. And maybe the males are following their own nature to find out what is there. So there are two things. One is inquisitiveness, and secondly is finding your own. So ultimately, it is again the search of yourself situation.
It is more of it.
Sir, Ashish is here. Ashish, can you hear me? He's my classmate. Ashish, unmute yourself. What your colleague did to you, sir, we did in the beginning in our first year of law. हम लोगों ने जब ज्वाइन किया था पहले दिन जाकर बोल दिया था सबको बिल्कुल डायस पे जाकर सामने कि सब लोग यहाँ बैठ के आराम से बात करेंगे कोई किसी को स्टॉप नहीं करेगा and we had an amazing camaraderie between us. Ashish somehow is not reverting back. He's my classmate and we had a close group. He was part of it. We had a very, very good camaraderie amongst us.
You see, that is one reason you will find a very good communication amongst doctors. The male and female doctor, the doctors, they don't have that, they don't have that reservations. Because the gender issue is gone. When you see a body lying on the table, whether it's a male or a female, then you get out of that system. So it is all an issue of what I call as emotional maturity. Sir, the more emotionally mature you are, the more easier you are able to deal with any.
I think in my case, it is less of hesitation and more of the apprehension that when I talk openly about these kind of things, I may be looked upon by not all of the ladies, but by some of them as a person who is appropriately talking. So that is the risk that looms large over my head whenever I try to come out of the shell and talk about something.
Take the risk a few times and you will know.
I was about to say the same thing. Take the risk.
I'll do that now.
I always tell everybody, and in a lot of, when I started my career, coming from Jodhpur and directly in Supreme Court, because I had no choice. My father was a judge and I didn't want to start that search the uncles and search the file wakalatnama and get out. So I wanted to make an example. So I left Jodhpur at the age of 22. 21 and a half. And coming to this Samudra of Supreme Court was very interesting. But then in every case I used to say, okay, test yourself.
Yes.
Why are you afraid of it? Yaar? Ultimately, the judge who is writing, or every time you go to a court, even today, you feel that there's always a feeling. But then you know what is going to happen end of the day. And everything went on well. It went on and went on.
Right, sir. I'll follow that advice for sure now. Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Madhurima? Pratiksha, you want to ask something?
Unmute.
No, ma'am, nothing. I was just listening to sir. This is all what he, speaks about when we get to talk to him in the office. So I'm just enjoying the session.
Oh, wonderful.
Any other question, madam? Let's close it.
Very well, sir. Sir, it was enlightening, very interesting and engrossing session. And Atul's questions made them more interesting as well. And thank you, Atul. Sir, Atul is like a younger brother and,
a question on the 21 cups of tea.
Association. He's a bright young lawyer practicing in Delhi High Court. and a very, very hardworking lawyer, and well brought up. When we say
Everybody has got 24
beta samjhawa, is like samjhawa beta. Very well
Nobody has
brought up.
got more than 24 hours. So you can work only 24 hours. The only example, there is only one example of one lawyer billing 27 hours in a day. He took a flight from New York to LA and worked for 5 hours on the flight and billed the client.
Great.
So he had
Another-
70. That's only
Another lesson to be learned.
here on the 21 cups of tea. So I wanted to tell you the differences on a. Do you want to hear that? You see, I always say there can be differences.
Tell us, sir.
Like somebody like single boil water. Somebody wants the water to be boiled multiple times. Somebody likes it with adrak. Somebody likes without adrak. Somebody wants to have a dip tea. Somebody doesn't like a dip tea at all. Then there are green tea. Then there is white tea. Then there is kadak chai, the typical kadak chai. Then, people like to have it in cup. I like to have it in mug. And finally, like people want to have it in saucer and then say, so,
That is an unmatchable pleasure.
and that is the difference. Somebody doing that, and maybe the other spouse says, what is this stupid way of having a drink here? But people enjoy it. You see, you can't say this is not this is where this can be a conflict. But
Yeah.
again, this is not a conflict. This is something which is natural. So you have to enjoy. That is where you have to enjoy, turn around your life.
So, sir, thank you so much. It was really interesting session. I wish we can go on and on and on, but why not? Like, we'll keep asking you to keep coming on the platform, keep guiding us, and your blessings and guidance would take us further. The cause.
We'll learn on the
And
private
I'm
course.
more than sure that we all who are listening, everybody would be evolving more and growing more as a better human being, listening to all these words. And that idea is this only: to create a much better society, much parallel society, much equal society, much safer society for all. So, man, don't trouble us. We would not slap you. What do you say, Pratiksha, on that?
Same.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Atul, Pratiksha, everybody who's on board. And good day.